Imagine unlocking a business model where revenue flows consistently, reducing stress and allowing strategic growth. Justin Gerena, CEO of SiteSwan Website Builder, reveals the advantages of recurring revenue systems. Learn from him and his extensive experience as he explains how to build and leverage recurring revenue streams that ensure financial stability and foster business growth. And discover how to say no to non-ideal clients, which I'm loving to hear about that. And streamline your sales processes and create a team culture focused on development and results. Stay tuned for the 411 on transitioning to a business model supporting steady income and scale your business and success over time.
Welcome to the Lead Machine Growth Show, where you will discover how to tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream. Paul Guyon, the mastermind behind the Lead Machine, introduces you to trailblazers who inspire you to implement life-changing solutions and systems you can model to nurture your leads and get your offers seen by your ideal clients who will invest in themselves and you. Be sure you visit our website at www.leadmachinegrowthshow.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, tune in and get ready to transform your vision into reality.
And welcome to the Lead Machine Growth Show. I'm Paul Guyon, your host, lead machine coach, and the founder of the Lead Machine Mastermind and Marketing Agency. I'm dedicating to helping you tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream. So whether you're just starting out or taking your business to the next level, let's get this conversation started and turn your dreams into reality. So Justin Gerena, you've got an awesome bio here. I'm going to ask you just to give us some of the highlights, and then we're going to dive right in. So how did you get started? I know that you have a tool that you sell, but before we started recording, you told me a couple of interesting things. So tell us about how you just got started and how you discovered that revenue recurring system.
Sure, absolutely. So SiteSwan Website Builder, what we do here is we help individuals, entrepreneurs, and agencies start, run, grow, and scale their own web design business. And we started this specifically to solve our own problems that we were having as web designers 13 years ago, 14 years ago. And one of the things that was really interesting was that when my partner and I both came out of business school together, and it was actually in a business law class that we both looked at each other and said, I don't think I could work in corporate America. I don't think I could do this. I don't think I can make because we're Long Islanders. If you know anything about New York, Long Island is a huge suburb of New York City. And if you want a marketing job, business job, anything like that, you've got to travel into the city. And I have nothing against the city. New York City, greatest city on earth. It's wonderful. But if you're going to be commuting from Long Island into the city, you're talking about an hour plus in the train each way, plus whatever time from the train to your destination. It's a life-sucking experience that we both said we don't want to do. So right out of college, we said, we got to figure something out. I started off selling textbooks at my college, kind of got in trouble for that. I wasn't selling textbooks, but I was facilitating the buy and sell of textbooks. It was actually kind of fun. And my partner and I just found ourselves kind of stepped in an opportunity to sell websites to small businesses. And from there, we got super fascinated with the marketing and all the different struggles that typical small businesses need and face on a regular basis. And we were building out these sites for small businesses, said there's got to be a better way to do this. Since we're reinventing the wheel every single time we're selling a site, we're selling it for a lot more than these people can afford. And we decided to build our own platform, found some developers, got it going. And fast forward 13, 14 years later, and we have the ability now to help people start, run, scale their own web design business using our tools. And it's been such a fun ride.
Wow. And what was I know that there was a moment where you were doing it over and over and over again. You're probably getting burned out. What was the pivotal thing? What was it that sparked that, oh, we got to make a tool and then I've got this, I'm giving a tool to other people that they can use. How did that happen?
Yeah, so the point in which we realized we have to do this smarter is I think we got 10 prospective clients in a row
Hmm.
who just completely laughed at us when we told them it would cost them between $3,000 and $5,000 to launch a small business website. And like, you're out of your mind. This is why I don't have a website, and this is why I'll never have a website. And we said, well, what is a budget that would make sense for you? And it said less than $1,000. And we're like, ha. Then we laughed back at them, like, well, that's
Yeah.
not possible. And we realized that, well, wait a second, why isn't it? Because when you're building a website for an auto detailing shop or for a deli or for a contractor or for an electrician or for a plumber, they all need the same stuff.
Yeah.
They all need the same framework, the same stuff behind the scenes. But we had to start from scratch every single time we build a site, which is why it costs so much money. So we said, if we could figure out a way that we can kind of mass produce sites, so to speak, have the framework behind the scenes all ready to go. So you're really, creating a site essentially with a couple of clicks, then we could afford to sell these sites for a lot less. We could take on a lot more clients, scale up tremendously. And that's exactly what we did. So that was the driving force, just getting laughed at basically. And then when we, of course, started using the platform for ourselves, which was great, we had some people start to ask us, how are you designing sites on the cheap? And we said, well, we built our own platform and we're building sites off that platform. And they said, how do I get access to that platform? And we
Mhm.
said, good question.
Wouldn't you know? Yeah.
We didn't know what software as a service is. And that's technically the realm that we're in, where you're subscribed to a software platform so that you can continually have all the advancements and improvements on that platform over time and gain remote access to it. We didn't know that that was a thing.
Yeah.
So we were in the very, very, very beginning of that industry, so to speak, and we stepped into it and we never turned back because that was a recurring revenue business model that we didn't even realize was a potential when we first started out looking at each other in business law class in Queens and saying, how are we going to make this work without working for corporate? The
Yeah.
idea of having a recurring revenue stream from a software, totally didn't expect that.
Yeah, and for those who are listening, the service as a software as a service is we're all familiar with it. Think Dropbox and Amazon and there I can't think of more, but there's different ways to
Netflix,
share files.
everything is
Netflix,
software nowadays.
Netflix is probably the most thing. So yeah, that's a software as service, but you just don't think about it. It's just, yeah, I'm just going to watch a movie. Well, that's what it is. And so that model there, that is what you're talking about. And so people pay, and it can be treated as almost as a utility because it keeps it as long as it keeps running, they just keep paying, and it's a benefit to you and to them because it's just reliable, it's always available, and they can use it. And like you said, you've put this in the hands of other people who want to resell websites, so they're making bank on it as well, right?
Right. But the thing
Yeah.
is this, right? Like, I don't think that I don't think that a lot of people realize how accessible recurring revenue actually is because there are a lot of things that are subscription based that we're all subscribed to essentially
Yeah.
that is super convenient, right? And that convenience factor is exactly what small businesses are looking for when they're looking to get a website off the ground. They don't want to spend three to nowadays $8,000 or $10,000 on a website that they own forever. Because what happens when things change? Technology changes and they have to get a new server, a new whatever. They have to continue to invest over and over and over again, sometimes in very large chunks, to keep that website fresh and working and functional. But when you can present a business owner with something where it's a nominal fair monthly fee that they will pay in perpetuity, but over time, it's actually going to come out to less than buying website after website every 2 to 5 years, making those huge investments. It's a very easy pill to swallow and why a lot of our clients are able to adopt clients so quickly.
Yeah, one of my clients that I worked with in the past, they spent $30,000, $40,000 on their one website, and then it had to be that was in 2013, and I just worked with them, and they spent another 15 on a complete rewrite. And unfortunately, the vendor they unanticipated what it would take to bring that website into
Oh yeah.
existence, which
Oh yeah.
scope creep and all that happens, and then it's on it's on a SaaS program, a SaaS platform. But when we need to get it tweaked, we just had to have them refresh the user interface, and that was $10,000, and it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier this selling method, and you had some challenges in the beginning, probably to get people to believe that you really could produce a quality website, because you're selling to the end user also, right? So how did
Exactly.
you overcome that?
Yeah, so one of the things that we were faced with as web designers with our own agency was, how do you get to a point where you can ask for money for a website without them ever seeing it?
Yeah,
Think about all the things that you buy sight unseen. Not a lot, right? There's
yeah,
not a lot of things that you buy that you can't actually see first. Well, guess what? The web design industry is riddled with that.
yeah,
Every web designer out there is saying, give me $1,000 deposit and I'll get started on the work. You don't even know what they're going to do for you. So we realized that was a huge roadblock, because even when we reduced that price to less than $1,000, there was still an issue of being able to get someone's trust that, yes, we can in fact deliver a great product at this low price point. And we were basically told, well, prove it to me. And it's one thing to show your portfolio, right? Which anyone can do. But like, if you were going to buy something, you wouldn't want to see other examples that other people have bought of different things. You want to see what you're going to get. If you're going to buy a vehicle, you don't want to test drive a different vehicle. You want to test drive the vehicle you're going to buy.
right.
When I walk through Costco and they're handing out free samples, that's a very effective sales technique, because I can actually try what it is that they're pitching.
Yeah,
And I've made a number of purchases that way, especially when the kids are with me and they taste it and it's like, I have to have that. Okay, that
yeah,
was a mistake. So we developed this thing called instant site creation on our platform, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. The way it works is that our users, whoever's using our platform, can enter the name of a business in, and we'll pull in the details about it, like the address, phone number, zip code, email, all this fun stuff. And then you choose a theme that's appropriate for it. So let's say you're doing a website for a plumber. You select the plumbing theme, click create site. And what's really cool about that is that we inject all the details about the business into that theme design that we have. And with one click, you can upload their logo. With a second click, you could change the entire colors of the site to match the logo. And then you can actually send it off to the client and say, hey, Mr. Plumber, I've been working on a new website for your business that I think you're going to love. And I have it here. I have the link right here. I was hoping we could spend a couple minutes going over it because I think you're going to love it.
yeah.
That's a pitch no plumber's ever heard before, unless they've been pitched by a SiteSpawn reseller. And that is a very effective way of being proficient at scaling a web design business. Because anyone who's getting into business for themselves, I don't care what you're selling, chances are, unless it's a huge ticket product, you are not looking to sell one or two,
Yeah.
right, of the thing. You're looking to sell a lot of the thing. And if you have a system in place where that is made to be scalable, that is how you can make a lot of money online.
Right. Wow, that's really cool. And I'm a techie, so I'm wondering, okay, how did he do that? So did you use like Google Business Profile to gather information, or did you plug it in by hand, or you have some automation in the back end that brings that in automatically?
It's a combination of things, but we do have a Google integration that
Yeah.
works really, really great. So like, if you do know exactly who you're going to build a site for, you could type in their name and then it'll pull in all the details from their Google listing. We also have
Yeah.
this thing called a local prospecting tool, because like a lot of people come, and that's the one thing I think that um, really sets us apart. And not a lot of people realize initially when they're first learning about getting into the world of web design is that it very much feels like an industry anyone can get into, and it is. But if you can be educated about what it is you need to do, the intricacies of running the business, the grand scheme we get, right? You're selling a website to a business, they needed to market themselves, get online, get more clients, blah, blah, blah. But the intricacies of selling and selling with maximum efficiency, those are things we put together this entire training program on, so that people know exactly what they have to do, literally day by day, to find success as a web designer. And that's a very powerful thing, and it's all included in our platform. But that aside, we have this local prospecting tool. So people will say, well, I don't know who I'm going to sell a site to. I've never sold websites before. I don't have relationships with small businesses. So we solved that problem. We said, okay, no problem. Type in your zip code, an industry term, and we'll actually tell you the businesses in your area who, whether they have a site or not, we'll display them for you. We'll help you judge the quality of their existing site. Because guess what? A lot of people who are getting into the world of web design, a good 50% of their clientele are folks who've already got a site.
Yeah.
Now, the shocking statistic is that I think like 40 something percent of small businesses still don't have a website today. But even that aside, at least half of the people who our clients take on are businesses who've already got a site, but it's outdated, it's old, it's ugly, it's broken, it's whatever. And they're ready for a new one. They're version 2 or version 3 even.
Yeah.
So that's the technology stack that we use is robust, and I love talking about that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. So our listeners are not all web designers, and they're not all interested in getting into web design. So how do they create a recurring revenue stream in their business,
It's
leveraging some of these ideas?
Yeah, it's so simple in my mind. I have been so tempted to start numerous other businesses that are subscription based purely because of what I know about this industry. But my focus is where it is, and I need to focus on this. And I know that you can't be, CEO of 2 or 3 or 5 different companies and be effective at all of it. So
Yeah.
I have begged my very good friend and general contractor slash handyman to subscribe me to his handyman services, because I would totally spend money every single month to know that I have first and or better access to him when I need something, right? So I had a leak in my ceiling in my kitchen. I have to get that fixed up, spackled, painted, etc. And I just want to know that I'd be like, hey, I need you. And that monthly payment that I've been making to him for the past however many years will either go towards it or at least get me to the front of the line in terms of his fix-its. And that's something that I've even talked to my wife about, who's also a business owner. She owns an aesthetics business where she'll do the Botox injections and all that fun stuff that's very, very popular now, laser skin treatments and all that stuff. She did something to me this morning, which is kind of why I look red. Just for now, though. I'll look 10 years younger tomorrow. And she's trying to figure out, well, my calendar is booked out through 2 months from now. And I said, well, it sounds like you don't have a subscription in place, because if you had a membership or a subscription model that was $99 or $199 per month, those people who are subscribed to that could jump to the front of the line. And you can block off different days of the week each week where you have 3-hour gaps or whatever, where you could just plug someone in who is a member and they're looking to get in sooner rather than later. Those are 2 examples, but the list goes on and on. You can have subscribers to almost any business nowadays. And if you can come up with even a short list of benefits, you can totally scale that up and have reliable income no matter how many new clients you get each month.
Yeah, that would work with a massage therapist or a barber or for a hair salon or a tanning studio. And they do tanning. They do subscriptions.
Pet groomers. Yeah.
Pet groomers. It goes on and on and on. I mean, we have 2 dogs and 3 cats. And so our 2 dogs are going to pet grooming tomorrow. But we had a wait list. We had to wait. And we want this lady because she does such a great job with our animals. And it's right next to, my wife works in an animal hospital. And it's right like a block or 2 away. So it's really convenient. But they get all hairy and ugly and smelly because we have to wait 3 or 4 months to get in. So that's a great idea. And veterinarian offices could do the same thing, and they do it, but not all of them do. Like I know that there's like some of the chains do it, but the mom and pop ones don't, and they're the ones who everyone wants to go to because of the relationship they have with the people.
Right. And the idea of implementing, the logistics behind subscribing someone to a service have gotten so accessible nowadays. Even you can set up a Stripe account for free and get people signed up on a recurring basis with that. Like, I don't want to hear the argument of logistics. You just have to come up with an offer that gives people some incentive. I did the same. I begged my groomer to do the same thing. I'm like, please, I always forget to book the next appointment. Just subscribe me. and
Yeah.
then ping me and let me know that my time is this or that on that day. And you'll just have my money already. She's like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll try and look into that. I'm like, I'll even help you do it.
Yeah.
Crickets. I'm like, all right.
Well, and that's, that's the, I learned this from what's his name? It's the book called The E-Myth. I can't think of the guy's name right now. Michael Gerber. And he talks about that most of us, or most entrepreneurs who've ventured out into having this business of their own, they're working on their business as a technician versus they're working in their business as a technician
Yeah.
instead of on their business doing these kinds of things to implement change. Because that pet groomer or the hair salon stylist, he or she is just scraping along to get the next paycheck, the next money to pay her bills, and but they don't realize that this will even out their cash flow. Having a subscription will even out the cash flow, and so these dips will start to be like that. And you'll still have some blips, and but that cash flow will really super help and helps you maybe get a virtual assistant or invest in
Exactly.
a website or some additional technology that can help you move faster.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
now that we've got people on the subscription, how do we keep them in the subscription? How do we keep them coming back?
So that's a great question, because retention, or churn, as we call it in the SaaS industry, is super, super important. It's one of the growth factors. There's 3 growth factors when it comes to subscriptions. It's going to be the churn rate, or the percentage of people who fall off each month. It's going to be the amount that you're charging your clients on a monthly basis. It's going to be the number of people who are paying you. Might sound like pure common sense, but sometimes people don't realize those are the 3 major factors when it comes to subscription base. So when you're in a situation of charging people on a recurring basis, you're going to have some fall off. It's natural. There is no such thing as someone who subscribes to something and never quits, right? We've all stopped a subscription of some kind, of some sort, over time. The only one I haven't canceled, I think, is my cell phone bill for like 16 or 17 years now.
Well, then there's the gas bill and there's the cable bill and those things. But you do cable's kind of a monopoly. We won't get into that. But yeah.
Well, over here we have a couple of different options, so we tend to bounce around. But
Yeah.
the main thing is you have to be able to make sure that you're onboarding people properly, because that's the biggest area in which you're likely to lose people is in those first 90 days. And that's just because people are unsure of the value proposition, the benefit that they're getting for the money leaving their pocket. So during those first 90 days, what you really have to do is make sure that you are delivering 10 out of 10 service in every way. Make it a delightful onboarding experience. Give people anything and everything that you can to make them feel wanted and loved and engaged. And for some businesses, that's a very easy thing to do. For other businesses, that's a harder thing to do, like ours.
Yeah.
As a SiteSwan reseller, our clients have to get the value of our platform by, let's see, what is the value? Selling a website, right? In order for them to figure out that SiteSwan's valuable to them, they have to go out and sell a website. So what did we do? We built out the training program that I just explained to you a little while ago. It's a 12-step training program, and then a 14-day launch plan that tells people exactly what they have to do for their first 14 days on the platform, that is optimized to get them their first 1, 2, 5, or even 10 sales. And we've proven it. It works amazing. And if you follow those steps, you'll find success. But you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, they say, right?
Yeah.
So there's always, even despite our best efforts, despite the things that we do, you're always going to get people who just are not a right fit. In the perfect world, you can identify those people before they even come on board. This way you don't have to deal with trying to please them and then wasting that money when they fall off in the first 90 days. But ultimately, you can do only so much. You're going to have a segment of people who we refer to as people who dream a little bit. They dream of having their own business, whatever it might be, web design, obviously, but they are just not mentally committed to owning a business because they didn't realize that it actually takes a little bit of your time, or it actually takes a little bit of your effort, or things like that. If it was a type of thing you could do on your couch without lifting a finger, everybody would do it. So you have to understand there are some things involved when you're getting into something new.
Yeah, we
For
call that
anyone else who's,
sweat equity.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. For anyone else who's not selling a service like what we're selling, you just have to make those initial 90 days truly pleasurable in as many ways as you possibly can. Spike up the value that you're giving them in any way possible, because it's like, even like a restaurant. If you own a restaurant and someone is coming in for the first time, there is a huge likelihood you'll never see them again. You'll never see them again. And for restaurants, think about restaurants for a minute. They thrive on a very small radius of clientele, because no one's going to drive 50 minutes to a restaurant, once a month for their night out. They want to stay local. So you need to be able to capitalize on every single person that walks in and increase the likelihood of them coming back. How do you do that? If I was a restaurant owner, I would make sure that I identify everyone as a first time patron by flagging them somehow, having the waiter wear a different napkin over their shoulder, or putting a different color candle at their table or something. I make sure the manager goes to visit them. I make sure the manager gives them something, an appetizer, a dessert, something. Give it away. Who cares?
Right.
Because you're not making money on one person's dinner that one time. You're really going to make money on that person's return, and
Yeah.
again
Their
and
lifetime
again.
value. Yeah.
Exactly. And even if they come back a second time, now you have a different color candle you put on the table for the second time. You give them something different this time to incentivize them to come back. And studies have shown that when someone comes back to a restaurant for the third time, they have an 80% likelihood of continuing to come back over the long term. And that can be a huge difference maker to a restaurant.
Wow. That's awesome. And so that's your onboarding process, schematic or outline or process for a restaurant owner, which you could adapt for your own business, for your hair salon or your massage therapy practice, or your dental office or whatever. I I moved across town when I got married to my wife 3 years ago. We're having our third anniversary honeymoon next week. And
Nice.
yeah, and so I had to go to a different dentist because my old dentist was 40 minutes away. And so I went to this new place and I looked around and I went there, and wow, my experience with them, everyone in the office knew my name and they treated me with respect and they were all happy. Now, my previous doctor, I liked the doctor because he was a friend of a coworker, and I liked him, and my kids went to him, and et cetera. So I had a relationship with him. But his office, they came and went. They weren't gleeful. They weren't happy. But this new place, they're happy, and when I call, they know who I am. And now my wife is going there, and my stepdaughter is going there, and it's been a great experience. And I spent almost $5,000 with them this year because of dental work and things that we haven't been taken care of. And so, yeah, we're sold on them, but they
Yeah.
had that process down. And
Yep.
so everyone can have an onboarding process, even if you're a house cleaner. You're cleaning residential homes and you've got people who come into your business. You have expectations about how you want your clients to be treated. You have a method for cleaning. There's a whole training process that you can create or already have created, so that you're, like we were talking about, I think earlier, about how your values and the way that you want people to be treated move forward as you grow. Because that's another thing I see businesses struggle with once they get to 30, 40, 50 employees. The original intent of the owner is never carried out anymore, and the owner is not aware of it anymore. And then the company starts to kind of suck. So
Yeah.
how do you instill those values in as you grow with your company? It's kind of a side thing, but we're talking about business growth here. So in
Yeah.
your experience.
So one thing is super clear to me, and that's it's become clear from managing a diverse and remote workforce. So none of us are in the office every day together. And I think that's one of the things that has helped us find the best talent, and also be able to give people the best experience working, because they get their privacy and their own creature comforts of working remotely in their own space. But I think it's super important that you really get to know everyone on your team. And by that, I mean, make sure that you can truly connect with them and make sure that you can work with them to get where they want to be in 3 to 5 years. I recently heard this thing where if you don't know where every single one of your teammates wants to be in 3 to 5 years, you don't really know them.
Mm.
And I thought that was interesting because I would definitely subscribe to that. Have a deep conversation like that with someone who's working for you on your team, I would argue you'd know them a lot better than perhaps even some of the closest people in their personal lives, because that's not something we always verbalize on a regular basis, but something that really is important because it does tell you a lot about someone's intentions and someone's happiness level and all those things. So our goal has always been to be able to give people the freedom to do what they want in a way that helps them exercise the strengths or get better at the tactics and skill set that they need to get where they ultimately want to be in that 3 to 5 year time range. I think it's an unfortunate element of growing a business, as you stated, that so many businesses struggle when they get to that point of lots of employees and then things get diluted.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to a strong leadership that starts from the top down. You can't lead from the bottom up. The people who are working as servers in a national chain restaurant aren't going to be the ones who are going to dictate how the process is going to look for optimizing everyone's experience. It's got to come from the top down, and everyone's got to feel empowered and motivated to do their best.
Yeah, and I think the feeling of empowered, that can be words or that can be actions. And so the feeling empowered is if you need to recognize people for their achievements, even if they're small and in public, so that they feel valued. I think a lot of people really miss that, where they don't feel valued, and the company and employees leave. Your contractors leave because not because you don't care, not because you aren't a great guy or a great gal or a great business owner. It's because they don't feel valued. I think that's super important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think when people do feel valued, they feel fulfilled. And people who have that fulfillment just are better people. They're better at everything. They're better at their personal relationships. They're better at their job. They're better parents, friends, everything. Having that fulfillment is an X factor, an intangible factor, but once you have it, you know it. And once someone else has it, I think you also know it. And
Yeah,
are people that way, you won't regret it as a business owner.
absolutely. Amen. Let's see. Oh yeah, we mentioned we touched on the ideal client. Let's talk about the impact of saying no and how you can let's unpack that a little bit. You mentioned that in your bio.
Yes. So one thing is for sure, and I touched on it a little bit earlier when we were discussing onboarding and
Yeah,
knowing that just some people are just not the right fit.
right.
And I'm not sure what the audience looks like of the show, but I would assume that there are a fair number of people listening who are kind of just getting their business started or in a very significant growth stage.
Yeah,
And when you're in that growth stage, no one wants to say no to an opportunity
right.
because every opportunity that comes in the door feels like you have to take it because it means more money, and more money means growth. However, it's not that simple. It's just not that simple. You have to make sure that when you're starting, growing, or scaling your business, that the folks who you are taking on as clients fit into the trajectory that you know you want to go in. So if that means saying no to a client, it will be the best thing you ever did if it takes you off your game. I'll give you a quick example in my world. So our agency built websites for small businesses. We still do. That's our bread and butter. Simple informational websites for small businesses that puts their best foot forward, that helps people identify who they are, why they should work with them, and allows people to contact them. Search optimize, the whole nine. Every now and then, we would get a client who says, I want an e-commerce site where I can list all of my 120 items that I have for sale. And I want to have a catalog and this and that and this and the search and these discount coupons and codes and blah, 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 blah. And I remember the first time we were exposed to this and we're like, it's payday, baby. Let's do it. And we spec'd out this whole big thing. We built out this whole framework, got the okay, over $30,000, starting to spec this out, getting it all done. And we instantly regretted it because it was outside of our wheelhouse. It wasn't something we felt comfortable taking on. We had to completely invent everything that we were doing for the very first time. Nothing felt scalable. It was totally unique to them. That's super important. Totally unique to them. And we actually lost money on the deal. And we were stupid enough to still take on 2 other jobs like that in the future, saying, this time it'll be different. It wasn't.
Yeah.
So you have to know what you're good at and what is on your trajectory to success. If it doesn't feel like it fits into the puzzle or onto the path that you're going, don't force a square peg into a round hole. It's probably not a good fit. If you don't have a really excited feeling inside of you when you say yes to a project, to take on a project, or to take on a customer, that's usually a sign that it's not a good fit. Because if you're saying yes to the money, but not yes to the project, that is a problem.
Yeah, and I saw a movie, I forget what movie it was, but he said, just fly the plane. Just fly the plane. In other words, as my friend Ben Gade III said, stay in your lane. And so stay in your lane is what you're just talking about. And I totally agree with that. And yeah, I call it working in your sweet spot. Because there's a lot of things, just because I'm a techie. I've been in technology for 40 years plus. And people, family members, they say, hey, can you come over and fix my network, my home network? That's not my thing. I can do it and I know it. And I hire people to work on my network. That's not my thing. My thing is helping you be profitable with technology and marketing. That I don't want to work at it. Can I do it? Can I build a website? Sure, I can build a website. I've built many. Is that what I want to be doing? I'd rather have something like what you have, is that here, yes, we can do that. Boom, instantly. Here's what it looks like. Would you like it? Here it is, X dollars a month. That's enabling people with technology, but that's your sweet spot. So you don't want to work with things that you can do, but you don't like to do. Right?
Exactly.
But you stay in your lane.
Yeah. Now I'll give you one more example. We had this, we had this carpet cleaning entity that wasn't a franchise, but it kind of smelled and looked and felt like a franchise, but it wasn't a franchise. And they came to us asking us to build out sites for their, I think, 15 or 20 distributors at the time. And we're like, whoa, cool. We can get 15 to 20 websites all in one shot. This sounds like a great opportunity. And then immediately, as we were, about to sign the contract, realized that, wait, we haven't done this before. And as much as it sounds like a good idea, all these sites need to have the same logo and the same branding, but they're different in these other ways. And then they're going to have some similarities because of the branding thing. And it was just too many moving parts that made it feel different than everything else that we've done. And that was the third project. We still said yes to it. We had to go so far as to hire a person to manage the relationship with the client, which immediately ate into the profits. And then, since for some other reasons, we couldn't get a contract on the books, they went up and just quit out of nowhere. So we were turning all of our attention. They were making up like 20 or 30% of our revenue, because they got to be so big because we helped them with all their marketing and everything. And then it just went away. And that's also like a risky thing. If you have one client who is making up any more than about 6% of your revenue, that is a high risk scenario because you could be losing a big chunk of your revenue if you
Yeah.
just have one person cancel on you. So you always got to be careful about taking on the super large clients unless you feel like that's what you were meant to do and you can see all these other opportunities to take on more of those exact same types of clients, then fine. They're no longer a huge asset risk. But if they're the only ones that look like that, you are definitely playing with fire.
Yeah. Yep. And it happens time and time again, time and time
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're at about the top of our time together, Justin. I really appreciate your insights. As we wrap up with your final words, what are three things that our listeners can do to put these ideas of getting recurring revenue streams and put them into action?
So the first thing I would recommend is coming up with an offer,
Mhm.
figuring out what are people asking for, and making an offer that aligns with what their needs are. The second thing I would do is be very systematic with how you figure out your pricing. So to it's very easy to have a price that you put out there and discount it to the point where you're no longer discounting it. So what I mean by that is you almost have to start with a lower price, but don't start with a lower price. Always have the higher price, the target price, discount it down to a point where you think people will be stupid for saying no to this price. And then when you start to win people, you start to reduce the amount of the discount little by little until you realize where the fall off point is. You still should always have about 30% of the people who you're pitching your service to say no to you because of price. That's how you know you're in a good spot. You need to
Right.
have people saying no to you because they say too expensive. Good, too expensive for you. On to the next one.
Yep.
And then the third thing I would recommend is to offer the absolute best support that you can. Usually, a subscription model doesn't require a heck of a lot of support on an ongoing basis once you get past the hump of the first 90 days,
You're right.
but still make yourself super accessible and super eager to help out because when you do that, you will really truly win over the heart of your client and keep them subscribed for a lot longer, boosting, as you said, lifetime value up even
Right.
more. And if you don't know what lifetime value is, look that up because that's a super important metric to know about any business that anyone's running.
Right. Especially if you're paying for ads or doing any kind of advertising, you got to know
Yes,
that. You got to know that number. Well, it's been a pleasure
exactly.
having you. We have a special a freebie to get you started. Can you tell us about that and how we can get it?
Sure. So as you heard me say before, I was found a lot of our success by showing what the website will look like before someone actually buys it. So I put together this little book and it's available on my website. It's at justingerena.com. My last name is spelled GERENA.com/lead-machine. And you're going to be able to download that book. I want everyone to read it because I think that even if you're not going to get into the world of web design, which is kind of what the book is focused on, it's an
Right.
easy read. You will be able to apply some of the logic of showing something and then selling it to almost any business that you're running. And I think that I would love to see more people using this type of sales technique because it can make a huge difference for how people operate their businesses.
Yeah, I really like the show them before you. I've been in that position before where we had a lead delivery or a baggage delivery management system that we were selling to the airlines, and I was the architect behind it. And so we were in the boardroom with the CEO of Delta Airlines and his top 15 managers from all the cities, all their major cities. And we are pitching this thing, and we have already heard all the, no, you got nothing. This is not going to work. Well, we already proved that it would work, and they said, yeah, we do it, but you got to prove it. And so we rolled out 15 cities, and I think our first invoice to them was 600,000 in a 2-week period for those 15. But we saved them millions of dollars and customers, but we had to prove it. we had, and it wasn't easy to put it together because, you know, it costs money to put
Yeah.
that thing together.
Yeah.
But we did. We put it together, and then we got all the airlines all in North America, you know, the majors, Delta, American, United, Air France. It went on. U.S. Airways. It went on and on. Of course, they're all part of one.
Yeah.
But we had to put our money where our mouth was, so to speak. So, but you can do that on a smaller scale and get the same result, right?
Exactly. You're exactly right. 100% right.
Well, Justin Gerena, thank you so much for coming on. Remember, faith and action go hand in hand, so keep the pedal to the metal. Until next time on the Lead Machine Growth Show, I'm Paul Guyon and my special guest, Justin Gerena. Check out his special ebook. And it's at www.justingerena.com/lead-machine. So long for now. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lead Machine Growth Show with Paul Guyon, where we show you how to tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream so that you can transform your vision into reality. Remember to visit our website at www.leadmachinegrowthshow.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Lead Machine Growth Show.